A short while ago, Victoria Police announced that today they've laid charges of murder against the 22-year-old man who was arrested yesterday on suspicion of being responsible for the disappearance of Samantha Murphy. The man is from Scotsburn, which, if you look on the map on the right-hand side, you can see is south of Ballarat and not far from the Buninyong National Park and Mount Clear, which is where they believe that he murdered Samantha Murphy. As far as speculation about a hit and run, following comments about the damaged vehicle, it seems that it was not a hit and run. They've made it quite clear that the charges are of murder, meaning this was an intentional act. They've also made it quite clear that this man was not known to Samantha's family and that they also don't believe that he was known to Samantha.
Good afternoon. I'm here to provide an update on the disappearance of Samantha Murphy, who went missing on the 4th of February, and the developments that have came today. Detectives from the Missing Persons Squad yesterday morning at 6 a.m. arrested a 22-year-old Scotsburn man. They arrested him at his home address and took him into custody. The man was interviewed over a number of hours. A number of search warrants have been executed. As a result of those investigations, he has today been charged with the murder of Samantha. We will be alleging that murder occurred at Mount Clare on the day she disappeared. In the interview with the suspect, he has not disclosed to police where Samantha's body is. I want to be very clear. I'm limited in what I can say, given that there has now been a charge of murder laid. The suspect, as I say, has been charged and he'll be appearing before Ballarat Magistrates Court. As I came into the press conference, he was very close to being fronted before the magistrate. Samantha's family has been advised of this tragic news this afternoon by detectives from the Missing Persons Squad, and obviously this is a tragic outcome, knowing that she has been murdered. Our thoughts and support are with her family. And I do just want to say something about the family. Since the outset in these cases, it's often that the family come under scrutiny. They were under intense scrutiny at the outset, and we, Victoria Police, said everyone should keep an open mind and let us go about our business. They have been cooperative with us. They have provided everything we needed, and they have had no involvement whatsoever in this matter.
I will include excerpts now from the question and answer session which occurred at the end of this press release. However, I will mention that, true to form, Victorian Police are not going to give away any crucial information about the investigation, so the answers are very limited. Hence the reason I'm not playing the full question and answers, because most of it was this gentleman saying, I can't give you an answer for that. I will say, it seems to be a thing here that investigators are quite good at keeping super quiet about cases such as this one, and people are sitting there wondering for several weeks and thinking that they're twiddling their thumbs doing nothing, and then suddenly everything happens at once. So it's quite clear that these guys have worked their butts off over the past month since Samantha went missing and have achieved this outcome. I also believe that they do have the capacity to find Samantha, and that we'll be hearing something within the next couple of days along the lines of that they have been able to retrieve Samantha's body. Just my prediction.
Will police be able to allege whether the 22-year-old charged man is known to Samantha or her family?
It's my understanding this man is not known to the family.
There are reports that you're searching Lal for her remains. Is that true?
I'm not going to go into operational detail as to where we're searching for remains. The search has been ongoing for a period of time and it continues whenever we get additional information. But we're calling on members of the public to help us because that's our primary role now, to try and get Samantha back for her family.
Is he cooperating with police, the man accused?
It's not for me to comment on whether the suspect has cooperated with police or not. I will simply say that he has been charged with murder and he has not disclosed where her body is.
Do police believe that he worked on his own, or are you looking for other people as well?
We're not looking for anyone else. It's not alleged at this stage that there's any accomplice.
Murder is premeditated. Will police allege whether this was planned or it was an accident?
He has been charged with murder, so by its definition, we're saying this was a deliberate attack on Samantha. I'm not going to go into the details, motive or any of those further details in regards to what has or hasn't happened when she has been killed. I will simply say he has been charged with murder, which by its definition means it was an intentional act.
How did police find this man? Was it the mobile phone data? Was it a tip from the public?
He's been located through a range of investigative outcomes that have come together. As you would be aware, we've been clear, we've been pinging phones, we've been following up on investigation reports from members of the public, we've done ground searches, we have done door knocks, so it's a whole range of information coming together. I'm not going to identify what has specifically led us to this man, other than to say it has resulted as came about from painstaking detective work with great assistance from the public.
How do you believe how do you believe Samantha died, if that's the assumption being made?
I'm not going to go into the details of how Samantha died. I'm simply going to say she was murdered on the day of her disappearance by this male.
Are police also looking for a weapon as well?
We continue to look for evidence in respect to the murder.
Was the accused known to police previously?
I'm not going to go into whether the accused is known to police or not.
Why wasn't the arrest disclosed until today, when I believe it was 6 a.m. yesterday when it occurred?
We don't disclose operational matters that could impede or in any way impair our investigation.
Has the search area narrowed since his arrest, or changed perhaps? Why?
As I say, I'm not going to go into details of anything to do with the outcome of the investigation at this stage or what it might mean. We're still at a critical stage of this investigation where we are trying to locate Samantha's body, as well as a whole range of other evidence. So it's not appropriate that I give a blow-by-blow description about what we're going to do, what we might be doing, or what our investigation may take us towards. It's simply this. We have identified through a very painstaking, methodical investigation an offender. We've charged that person with murder. They are now, or could be at this very moment, or will have a short time ago, or this evening be fronting at Ballarat Magistrates Court to face that charge.
Are you able to say when Samantha's family was told about the arrest and how they received the news?
Samantha's family was told about the arrest last night, and they were told this afternoon about the charging of the male. I won't go into how they've received the news. Obviously, though, anyone being told a loved one has been murdered, it's tragic.
So it was the day that she went missing that you believe she was killed?
We're alleging she was murdered at Mount Clare on the day of her disappearance, the 4th.
I understand you're not able to give too much detail, but is there a physical search currently happening today for her body?
I'm not going to go into any details about what the investigation is doing at the moment.
Will police be alleging that this was a hit run?
No.
Was a car allegedly involved at all?
I'm not going to go into any further detail other than to say this was we are alleging a deliberate attack which has caused the death of Samantha.
You've said that he wasn't known to the family. Was he known to Samantha?
I don't have that knowledge. I don't believe that to be the case. it's not helpful for anyone to speculate on what the outcomes now of the investigation mean for us, where what our avenues of inquiry take us to. We will be led by the evidence, and there's still a whole range of it that we're processing, and that's what we'll do, and we'll continue to do this in a methodical approach, as has been to date. The person has been charged, so now we are bound by a number of rules in relation to what we can and can't say in regards to evidence, and this is where we're at.
Will prosecutors be opposing bail?
It's a charge of murder. We'll be opposing bail.
You're alleging some sort of weapon of any kind was used?
I haven't alleged what transpired in the death, other than that this is a deliberate attack which has resulted in the murder of Samantha.
Is there any alleging of whether drugs or alcohol were involved on part of the charged man?
Again, I'm not going to go into the evidence and speculate about the evidence. In Victoria, when someone's charged, irrespective of what people's views may be, the details of that evidence are tested in court, not at press conferences. It goes without saying, any family or someone who's lost a loved one, the recovery of Samantha is of primary importance to them to get their loved one back. And that's why the focus from our investigators will be not stepping back at all. In fact, we'll be going even harder to try and recover a body.
Is there a sexual nature to the murder?
Again, I'm not going to canvass any details to do with the evidence in respect to the murder. All right, thank you all.
That poor guy seemed really frustrated by the end. But then I understand why all the media were so tenacious. This is not something that happens regularly here in Australia. So people are going to be screaming for answers. People are going to be trying to find out who this guy was. I'm going to predict, based on past history as far as Australia Police, that the timing of the press conference was actually intentional, and that while the press conference was going on, that this guy was actually in magistrate court having his preliminary hearing. So I think what we can take away from this is that it was an attack on Samantha. He made that quite clear, even though he won't tell us motive or if there was a weapon involved or anything else like that. He twice referred to it as an attack. To me, that infers a level of violence. So I'm thinking that probably not a gun involved. And I think in an area like Ballarat, if anyone had heard a gun in the middle of the day or early morning, whenever it was, they would have been onto it straight away. Going back to the question that was asked by one of the media as to why it took so long to announce that an arrest had been made, I think the fact that he then later mentioned that the family was notified yesterday evening suggests to me that they were not going to announce an arrest until they had been able to notify the family. So I think if we sum it up, this was an intentional attack on Samantha. They haven't said if it was targeted. I'm wondering if it may have been just that he happened to be in the location at the time, but no doubt that will come out at a later date. They've said that they don't believe anyone else was involved, and thus far he has not disclosed the location of the body. I'd imagine that today's court appearance probably was not much of anything. They won't proceed until he's been given a lawyer to represent him, and I would imagine that when he receives a lawyer, probably through legal aid, that one of the first things they will advise him of is you need to disclose the location of the body, or it's going to be really hard for you in court. I think we are definitely going to see Samantha brought home, and I think we're going to see it happen soon. We don't have answers as to whether it was sexual nature or whether there were drugs or alcohol involved. I'm going to say that being early morning, daylight out in the open, that there may not have been alcohol involved. Who knows about drugs? He could have been off his face on drugs. As far as of a sexual nature, to me, they keep referring to it as an attack. I'm going to put my money on it not being of a sexual nature. While they haven't made any connection in terms of the damaged vehicle that they were looking for, they have at least made it clear that it was not a hit and run event. So now we need to sit and wait, and I think soon we'll hear that Samantha has been found. I also think that given the size of the community, that there'll be someone named pretty soon, and I also think that we can rely on media to get hold of court records pretty quickly also. To me, the surprising thing with this is that this was someone who was only 22, which does make me wonder if drugs were involved. Anyway, that's what we know for now. Stay tuned. I'm sure there'll be more to come.